4, stanza 4 of the fourth chapter. Arjuna said, Vivasvat lived in far-off antiquity. In the first stanza, it says, I gave this imperishable yoga to Vivasvat. How did he give that? That was ancient times in India. And Arjuna is saying he lived in far-off antiquity, and you were of recent birth. How am I to take this statement that it was you who first taught this sacred yoga to mankind? A very important point to keep in mind is that these great masters who come to this world, they're not here for the first time. And you have been here many times before. And as Master said, it takes very, very, very good karma even to want to know God. And you want to know Him and you struggle and finally when you're desperate enough, God will send you a guru. And how long it takes to find God after meeting your guru, well, that's not such a happy thought when you think in terms of this delusion, which is time. I asked my guru one time, have I been your disciple for thousands of years? And he said, it's been a long time, that's all I'll say. And that long time, who knows how long it is? I was inspired to ask the question because a brother disciple had a vision in which he saw himself with Master on Lemuria, which was a place mythical thought of today, but at least said to be 80,000 years ago or more. And I didn't want to think of myself as the only laggard, so I said, well, does it always take so long? And he said, yes. Desires take one away again and again. And so you will find that you don't change that much from one life to another. It takes a lot of effort to overcome even one major flaw. People who have been alcoholics before, it's very important for the devotee not to drink at all, because if they've had that tendency before, it will still be with them, and one drink may make them drunkards, alcoholics again. Medical science says that this is some particular thing in their DNA, but it isn't that. It's that memory, it's the samskar, that tendency. And so it's very important not to drink. There was one woman whom Yogananda told to give up drinking, and after a while she found it was very inconvenient not to take anything. I've told this story before, but so she thought, well, beer and wine, that's not really alcohol. When she saw him next after his sermon in church, he said to her, I meant all alcoholic beverages. Well, yes, of course. Then she decided that she'd better obey him. But it can take a long time even to overcome one major flaw. It's very interesting to study your past lives, and I have had a chance to do that in different ways, in my own meditations, in my own recollections. Yogananda said that he was William the Conqueror, and for me, I have to say that I was brought up in the English system, and I'd always thought that William the Conqueror was one of history's great villains. And here I found that he was my own guru. Well, I had to do an awful lot of rethinking at that point. And I studied his life, and I found that, in fact, he had been a very highly advanced soul. But the thing is that he told us that I attained God, I found God many lifetimes ago. How many? Krishna talks about Vivasvat and his life as the person who taught Vivasvat, the most ancient times in known history in India. And so it is that these great masters who are our line of gurus, they have been coming back again and again. My guru said to him, I'd killed Yogananda long ago. No one dwells in this body now but God. And so William the Conqueror, and we'll come to this a little bit later too, and maybe I'll say it again, but I hope I don't repeat myself too often. Still, I know that people come and go on this program, and so sometimes it's a good thing to repeat things also. Anyway, he was an avatar as William the Conqueror. I asked him this question one time, do you forget when you're in this state? Do you forget that you're one with God? he said, you never lose the consciousness of inner freedom. A very interesting answer. But William the Conqueror was, as it says in the Bhagavad Gita, when darkness declines, if darkness increases and virtue declines, I incarnate myself as an avatar, and I incarnate in order to destroy evil and to put virtue back on its throne again. Well, that consciousness is very different from that of a saint who has to work hard to be always humble, always generous, always kind, always devotional, never selfish, never anything. An avatar is long past that, and he no longer has to think in terms of personal perfection, and he sometimes can be very destroying, as Kalki Avatar would be, and as Krishna sometimes had to be. He had to kill Kamsa and many others. All of these avatars, the real avatars, they come to destroy evil, not evildoers, but evil. So as William the Conqueror, Master was sent to this world of his own will, yes, but it was God's will, and it was God's desireless desire and his own desireless desire, and this is a mystery beyond comprehension, really, from human terms. But in that state, he came into this world to perform a specific mission. Europe had been in darkness, and Europe was beginning to come up out of that. And the continent of Europe had many countries, and all of them were sort of at each other's throats. The only hope he had, or the only hope the divine will had, to bring about peace and prosperity and harmony was on that little island of England, not too far removed from Europe, as Ireland might have been, but a part of Europe at the same time. And William came, and his mission was to take over England. And many people, believing that Harold Godwinson was an Anglo-Saxon, which he wasn't, by the way, he was only part Anglo-Saxon, but they thought about how this golden warrior and so on, he was really a scoundrel. And William was doing a dharmic thing in going into England. I won't go into that in detail because there's a book coming out, probably about the time that this program will be aired, at least in fall of 2010, a book coming out called Two Souls, Four Bodies, and the soul of William the Conqueror and the soul of Yogananda. But another thing came to my mind after his passing. I suddenly realized I had been his son, Henry. Henry was the one who carried on his mission. The older sons of William, well, the first one was a traitor. The second one was just a blusterer and a bully. And so it was really only Henry. Actually, England needed time, people needed time to absorb what William had brought. And it wasn't until after that absorption that Henry could come in and show how his mission was a very great one. So Henry completed his mission, and it took the two to do it, because in one short lifetime, what could William accomplish? It's really actually very interesting, and some of those things I can actually remember. You know, when I read the life of Henry and read different episodes, I'm not seeing them as a separate person. I'm seeing it from inside. There was one time when he defended the city of Rouen and took the merchant who pretended to take over Rouen and take it from the duchy as it was supposed to be. And when Henry beat him finally, he dragged him up to the top of the highest tower and threw him over the parapet to his death. And that may seem like a cruel thing, but it was the only justice that could apply then. He had stried for the heights. It was right that he be thrown down from the heights. And so in those days, instead of talking about it as Conan's fall, they described it humorously as Conan's leap. Of course he didn't leap, but he thought of that way. Well, anyway, when I read that story, I found my own heart beating fast. It was as if I was reliving it. And when Henry went to Winchester to take over the treasury and become king, I could feel as if I was right there in that confrontation. It's quite fun to look back, but in fact it was an important incarnation for me, because I was trying to, my closest friends, just like William, were saintly people, and I started many monasteries, and history has completely misunderstood both those men, because historians don't understand, they can't understand somebody who has no personal motive. They think there's got to be some motivation, and if you won't say what that motivation is, whether power or wealth or whatever, or revenge, whatever it might be, if you won't say it, it must mean that your motivations are very dark. But in fact, both William and Henry didn't have any motive. They just wanted to do what was right. Henry was the most powerful monarch in Western Europe, and yet he never, the usual ambition of a king is to expand his territory. Henry never had a desire and never expressed the desire to conquer anything except to win back what people had taken from what his father had gained. But when he did that, he never went any further. He wanted nothing for himself. And I can completely relate to that lifetime. And it's very interesting for you too, to try to think, what were you in the past? What have you done before? In the first 6 years of your life, you will be much closer to your former life. And you can see what tendencies you had then that may help you to decide what kind of work you should do in this life. I don't mean only, however, butcher and baker and candlestick maker. I mean to understand your tendencies. When you can have some sense of who you were, then you begin to feel that I've been coming back a long time. There's so many things that look at people's faces when you pass them in the streets. What a vast variety there is. Everybody is showing like a map on his face all the experience that he has had in his past life. I have seen some Americans who look sort of Chinese. There's no Chinese blood in them, but they have that memory. And I myself have lived many lifetimes in India, and I have that kind of quality. And I feel at home in this country for that reason too. These are all important side teachings to help us to understand that all these incarnations that we live, when we find God, we realize that it was He going through it all. When we can give up those things, then we are free. So Yogananda, when he said, I killed Yogananda long ago, he meant many, many lifetimes ago. He was Arjuna when Krishna was Krishna, and he was Nara when Nara and Narayan lived together before. I have often thought that our line of gurus were the sort of gurus of this planet. It has been their duty to bring this planet again and again out of darkness into light. And these avatars, as I'm going to go into more deeply in the next stanza, all of these things are really the truth of your own nature. You come into this world, you live through many lives, 5 to 12 million lives, 8 to 12 million lives just to reach the human level. And you can fall from that level, at least temporarily. But whatever level you're at, there will always be this inner impulse pushing you forward. And if you fall because you've gone backwards, you will be always impelled forward. Man has the free will to seek God or to reject Him. And that free will can be guided, and this is why I've been trying to help you to understand that the right direction for everyone is to seek who you really are, Satchidananda. So that if you think that it's all right to kill somebody, ask yourself, will it give me happiness? You know it won't. If you want to take from other people as a thief, you may feel a certain pleasure in having gotten something that wasn't yours by right. Sooner or later, karmic law, but more than that, even that feeling of constriction in your heart, there is that feeling that makes you smaller. When you do wrong, you feel smaller, and because of feeling smaller, you suffer. When you do right, your ego expands. And in the beginning, we don't want to get rid of the ego, we want to expand it. We want to feel that we're a part of everybody and everything. Bit by bit, we understand that it isn't the ego that we're expanding, it's the infinite truth that we're embracing. That's why I say this Nayaswami order is samadhi-oriented. It seeks to embrace samadhi, to understand that our true reality is the infinite. That's why my Guru said, concentrate on my poem, memorize it, repeat it every day, that poem, Samadhi. The more you realize that you are not this, the more it will be natural for you to realize that you and he are one. So he is your friend, he's on your side. But if you accept him as a friend, he will take you by the hand and lead you. And if you don't, because it's your job too to be his friend, he's yours, you have to be his. And you will understand the more you take him by the hand as he takes you, the more he will be inclined to seek happiness and love and bliss. And you will know that it's good to have that example because we're all children of God. And as children, we can all find him because we're his own. So I plead with you, love God. All you want in life will be given to you with that fulfillment. Joy to you.